Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure our guys talked about it. It's weird when you walk into your own arena, right? And you're used to it being packed and smelling the popcorn and just ready to go at it. In a typical college basketball game, but especially a conference game, like a first home conference game, for it to be held in this fashion was hard. For our guys. I think the biggest thing we tried to do going into it, we didn't really know until after our shoot around. Today we always shoot around 1:45. We didn't know until after the shoot around, once the guys had left, that we weren't going to have fans. We were hopeful that we would have fans. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. It wasn't, in the cards for this game. But the guys were ready either way, and they understood. While we were disappointed, certainly for our families, but also for all the VCU fans that come to support us, and folks in our community that support us. It was that stinks. It stinks that we weren't able to be in here, but we understand why. And our job was to, in a way, play for them, those that couldn't be there, but also, inside of those lines, just focus on, what was inside the lines, as opposed to the exterior. Not that we're focused on the fans, but the fans are with us, all right, at every game. And when they're not there, it's a little bit different when you're at home versus on the road, right? And you're in your comfortable spot, and it's not so comfortable. Fordham did a nice job. They did a nice job of turning us over in the first half. We had too many turnovers, and certainly we had, quite a few, missed shots. We missed a lot of shots in the first half, and I think their defense had a lot to do with it. And then the second half we began to find our way. Right out of halftime, I thought our guys did a nice job, of securing a lead. The sustained pressure up the court, was good. The offensive rebounding obviously was elite. We settled in terms of our ball handling, our ball security. In the second half, coming out of halftime, we didn't have any, and then we were able to get a little bit of a lead. Then we had a few, and then the lead went down again and tightened up. And our guys just continued to answer, throughout the half and made some big plays. Obviously, Joe and Max, scored the ball, but there were other guys that made key plays, to give us the separation that we needed. Luke, certainly had a much better second half, than he did in the first half. But, proud of the guys in a weird situation. But I think, our thoughts certainly are with our city and, kind of what's going on out there. We're blessed to be able to play. We're not, we're thankful that we can walk into BDC and get water bottles, and we have what we need. And we know that there are folks out there that, probably don't, even though everybody's stepping up and our city's stepping up and all of that, but there's still folks that need. And so we want to be mindful of that. And you got stuff that's going on out west, and with the fires. And, our guys experienced it, together in terms of not having water, and it takes you back in time. It's weird. You can't shower, can't brush your teeth, can't do normal things, and you're playing a game. And I thought, all in all, say all that to say our guys handled it very well.
How much did playing in an environment like this remind you of the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I put a mask on before I walked in to address the team, so the guys would have a light moment. But the deal. Like, most of them don't even know. The younger guys, they had no idea what I was doing, probably. But the older guys were like, So my point was this, right? It has nothing to do with COVID. It was more about those games counted, right? This game's going to count that you're playing today. Even though there's not going to be anybody in there, like, this game's going to count, and we better be ready to play.
Because the psychological battle like? Does it change communication a whole lot? Do you have to generate more momentum from the sideline than you otherwise would with fans?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you certainly try to use that. I mean, we've played in these scrimmages, right? We've played in the close scrimmages, and you feed off of one another, and you hear everything. The refs hear everything, and so it's just different. It's a different situation, and in the scrimmages, it's a little bit different because, yeah, it's very competitive, but at the same time, it's a friendly competitive because you're trying to work on things, you're trying to get better, but this is you're trying to win. You're trying to win the game. Like the scrimmages is not as important to win the game. All right, it's more about what do we have, trying to figure out what we have. This is the first time you're playing against another opponent, and so you're trying to prep for the season. This was a lot different, and certainly for those of us that experienced COVID, very similar. And I told the guys, look under your seat. I had my mask on. I said, look under your seat. We've got a mask for everybody. You've got to play, with your mask on. They all started looking underneath. But anyway, whatever. My way of lightening the room.
Coach, you guys doubled your point production from the first half to the second. Other than just not turning the ball over and hitting shots, is there anything y'all switched up to?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to get inside the defense, and encouraging the guys to. I think transition, we weren't as good, in the first half. I think that was a big factor. Like we weren't organized, not organized, but we didn't see plays as well as we typically do in terms of getting a good thrust and a good start to our offense. And typically we're pretty good with that, but in the first half we weren't great. We had some opportunities. And we coached the guys on that at halftime. And I think, when Joe, you remember when Joe was coming up the court and then he sliced across and he laid it up? Like a couple of times in the first half, we ended up with 3 on the same side. And we ended up with turnovers in those situations, or we didn't get a great shot because we didn't have a thrust, into it. Sometimes the weak side of the floor is where you need to go. And, I thought our guys, defensively picked it up. We were better on defense. In the half court, but more than anything, the best thing was our offensive rebounding and then beginning to take better care of the basketball. Those two things really helped us.
Coach, the halftime adjustments, and you've talked about it for this game, and obviously we saw from the last game. Do you feel like this group, with the amount of experience they have, they can kind of listen to what you have to say at halftime and adjust quicker than other squads that you've coached?
I don't know, but maybe. I mean, you never know. I mean, we're still in the midst of a season here, so time will tell. But I do think these guys listen, and they're very coachable. They want to please. And, I think, from a strategy standpoint, there's only been so much time we have at halftime to, they've been trained in practice, to get ready for these games. And there certainly are adjustments that are made, within the game, whether it's you're playing big, you're playing small, this matchup, whatever. You're trying to get this player, with this situation and this type of shot or opportunity. And so you're trying to play to your strengths. I think one of the biggest issues that we had in the first half was, obviously, we had 10 turnovers. Well, 5 of them came from our 2 bigs, right? And I think it wasn't necessarily their fault. I think what was happening was we were putting them in some tough spots. We were putting them with bodies around them where they were catching the ball, as opposed to, hey, it's not make it easy for them, but put them in the right spot. You have the ball, put them in the right spot to be able to finish it really quickly. And I think we got better at that in the second half and used them more effectively. They got more comfortable, and I think it really helped us.
Coach, it seems like Jack's attacking the basket a bit more than before. Do you think that's just kind of him not throwing his hands up on the 3, but just adjusting and saying, hey, this is how I can help the team? Or did y'all talk about that?
Yeah, we definitely talked about it. It's like, he's got to be sure. He can help us with that, right? It's very perceptive that you notice that. He can attack the basket. He's got a big body, all right? He offensive rebounds. He defensive rebounds. So he's been helping us. And it all can't be about the shot. Right, and Kwani went through it last year. He's going through it right now. Like the one shot that he took from 3, he bobbled the ball, right, and then still shot it. And the key for him is the shot diet. Is which ones, the ones that we need him to take right now are the open ones that he's practicing in practice, and he makes a lot of them, a very high percentage in practice. And he's got a very good free throw, and I know he missed a couple today, but. You know, we're confident that he's going to be able to shoot the ball at the clip that we need him to. You know, to keep teams honest, but he has the ability to make cuts to the basket, all right, to finish plays. He has the ability to drive the ball, you know, and make plays for us. He's always been a very good passer, and so he's impacting winning the last 2 games. He's done a really nice job. He got in foul trouble in the first half and didn't play much, you know, and Bell, you know, obviously was coming off the injury, you know, from Loyola Chicago, so he wasn't necessarily himself, you know, today in terms of being able to move. But I thought Fats gave us some good minutes. You know, Fats, you know, really stepped up, you know, in both halves.
Luke, 19 over on the plus minus. He's obviously started a good few games here recently. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 more blocks. What do you see recently in terms of his maturation?
He just continues to get more comfortable. Like I said after the last game, like if he can continue to do what he's doing, right, we're not expecting, you know, him to dominate. You know, we just need him to be who he is right now and continue to get better. Like you guys have noticed, right, him going from Elizabeth City, right, or what was the first one?